My name is Jamie Leastone, and I'm here to show you guys 5 assistive technology devices that you can use in a classroom to help ASD students on the spectrum. They're pretty easy to use. You can use them every day in any kind of lesson. It can help differentiate your curriculum. It helps provide accommodations. It can also help for auditory and visual processing for kids. They will help access core curriculum for all of your students. So we have 3 high technology devices, and these are wonderful if your school has access to them. The first one is right in front of us. It's a smartboard. And the wonderful thing about the smartboard is you can use it to write with the pen, and you can write all of your lessons, do what you need to. You close the window, you can open it back up, and you can download lots of wonderful good apps. So I have on here the Kindle, and you could open it up, and a lot of times I will have the kids physically read books that they have in the classroom. They can read it along with me. So they have a copy in their hand, they have a copy up on their board. We have a 7-minute workout, so if my autistic kids are getting a little wiggly, they're having trouble with transitions, they're kind of getting too much going on, we can do the 7-minute workout. I have PowerPoints that I use for parents when they come in and they have different questions or things and topics that they want to explore. As we're doing our lessons, you can also go on the internet. So look up different resources. You can have different things available for the kids to use. The wonderful thing about having the projector in the classroom is that you can also have an Elmo. And the great thing about the Elmo is that you can give kids a visual. Okay. And so as I'm talking about fire and fire safety, and we're reading it in the book and the kids are looking in the book, sometimes autistic kids can have visual processing disorders, they can have auditory processing disorders, they could be having trouble with the transition of moving between the book and me speaking. So I can have this up the exact same time that I'm giving the lesson so the kids can view the lesson, they can listen to me at the same time, and they have the ability to have the book at their desk also. So it just gives a lot more flexibility. You're able to chunk information because we can look at small parts of it, okay? And I can physically point out to the kids as we're going what we're doing so they can be following along in their book. It's a lot easier for them. You can also use the Elmo if you have stuff that you make in your classroom or worksheets that you print off. So this right here is a vocabulary bingo card. We have daily language words and we have vocabulary bingo that the kids use. So the kids can be following along on the bingo squares as I'm going. So if they're having trouble with game playing and turn taking, then they realize that, okay, this is where we're supposed to be, this is where I need to put my square, all of those good things. For low tech, this is one of my favorite devices. Okay. It's simply a timer. And the wonderful thing about timers for autistic kids and ASD kids is that I can set the timer to warn them of a transition coming up. I can set the timer to explain to them that they have a certain amount of time to complete assignment. And then it's not me constantly reminding the child, okay, we have 10 minutes left, or we have 5 minutes left, or we have 3 minutes left. Because a lot of times if they're having different auditory processing or sequencing or timing issues, the more that I'm talking and the more I'm trying to discuss with the student, it becomes another distraction. This is just simply a visual that the kids can refer up to themselves. They don't have to process what I'm talking. It doesn't have to be a disruption in their work. They can use it as a tool. It also helps them later on for vocational and for when they're living in their own home. So if they know that I need to be getting myself ready in the morning, I have 10 minutes to get myself dressed, 10 minutes to pack my lunch and make sure that I'm out of the door, this is the first step for all of that. Another great low-tech device, and we use these in reading groups. We use them whenever kids are doing individual assignments. They're simply highlighters. They're colored overlays, and I let the kids pick them. A lot of times with Autism, what'll happen is visual processing, things look a little bit different. And also with sequencing, if the kids are having trouble figuring out which line goes in which order, especially if we're doing any kind of round robin or whole group reading, then they can follow right along with the highlighter instead of verbally having to prompt the child and tell them, okay, we're at this line, which can be a really big distraction. I can simply move their highlighter down. So they're able to visually sequence without the auditory disruption. So they can focus on the content and they can focus on the curriculum, not on me prompting them. The other really great and very last one, high-tech device that we have is the laptop. And the reason that the laptop is great for autistic students is not the obvious one, that you can access the internet and do all kinds of wonderful things on the laptop. But Temple Grandin had said a lot of our old computers and the fluorescent lighting that we have in the classroom is another visual distraction. So the actual screen on the laptop is a different density, and it allows you to be able to see, the kids to be able to see and track a little bit easier. So I have some kids that choose to use the laptop. They use the headphones. The headphones aren't even plugged into anything, or they can be plugged into music. That can help with the sensory. So if a classroom is really loud and overwhelming, they can put the headphones on, and it allows them to focus on a screen that's not so visually distracting, and then they have the auditory where they can kind of help with the sensory and processing issues. So these are all great devices that you can use in your classroom and helps access the curriculum.